Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gaming with me, Tony Mo, and we're here today to talk about Battlefield 1, probably for the last time, at least until we get our hands on the open beta, at which point, hopefully, we'll have a new map and maybe even a new mode to talk about as we push our way towards the launch of BF1 this fall. Now, I want you guys to get involved on this one. Please, watch the entire video, listen to what I have to say, and then share your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below, because this is something that I think a lot of people are excited about, a lot of people are hopeful for, and that, of course, is Battlefield 1's campaign, its story, its single player. Something that, for me at least, and I know probably a handful of you, probably way more than that out there actually, hasn't been great or hasn't been really that enjoyable or memorable since the days of Bad Company. Bad Company, for me, stands out as one of the best campaigns, not just in a Battlefield game, but in a first-person shooter experience. It just did so many things right, and when we look at it in terms of Battlefield, it captured the essence of what makes Battlefield special. You know, it took some of the elements of why we love Battlefield so much from its multiplayer, and it infused them into a single-player experience that also introduced great original characters, you know, that had wonderful personalities. Haggard and the whole crew, so damn memorable. And DICE fully embraced that. I don't know if you guys remember, but DICE even did commercials with the different members of the squad. You know, they had Haggard on at one point with, I think it was like a football player who they put in-game to talk about not throwing random frag grenades in the multiplayer. Like, it was this awesome level of community interaction and support that utilized the characters that existed in the game's story. It was so damn cool, you know? We had those small sandbox elements in Bad Company as well, and we had a great little story. I still remember to this day playing Bad Company 1, thinking that I was playing the video game version of Kelly's Heroes at first. You know, the idea of guys, you know, headed out, breaking rank to go hunt down gold. I was waiting for Donald Sutherland to show up in his Sherman tank and act all crazy. Unfortunately, different time period, and that never actually occurred, but you get what I'm saying here. You know, overall, both Bad Company games were able to carry a very unique tone, one that never took itself too seriously, across the game's single player and multiplayer. And as I said, DICE fully embraced that. And to me, that is part of why Bad Company is such a special point in the franchise's history. It's not just jaded nostalgia, it's just damn well done. And that remains the same today. So, do I want to see them capture that essence in Battlefield 1's campaign? Hell yeah. But do I think they're going to do a completely original story in BF1? You know, that's going to break the ranks of what we know about World War I history? No, I don't think they're going to go that route. I don't think we'll see something like we saw in Bad Company. I think they're going to fully utilize the historical value that they have on hand. You know, we talked about this well before we even knew Battlefield 1 existed, how one of the big strong points of setting Battlefield 1 and World War I is the historical value. You know, the ability to take players to actual points in history during World War I, let them go to the Battle of Somme, let them go to the Battle of Verdun, let them see these battles from a first-person perspective, and, you know, maybe even along the way, educate them legitimately on some of the things that took place during World War I. I think that's their strong point, and I hope they fully utilize that, because for me, I want, like, to see that return to historical shooters. You know, some of my best memories are with Call of Duty 2 and Brothers in Arms and, you know, even Call of Duty Finest Hour and the Medal of Honor games. You know, games where I was able to play it, then go look in the history books and realize that what I had just played was, you know, part of a legitimate event, a legitimate battle that took place during World War II, that took place during Vietnam. You know, it took place during World War II on the Pacific Front. Like, that was such a great feeling. That was so cool. I want to be able to experience that with BF1. I want to be able to boot it up and play through the Battle of Somme and be able to recognize, like, wow, dude, I read about this. Like, this is that point when they pushed through here and they got through because they weren't able to build a trench there. Like, whoa. Like, I want that accuracy. It doesn't need to be full-blown and crazy and, you know, super detailed. But to be able to make those comparisons to what we know, what has been written in the history books, after you're able to experience it in this, you know, odd first-person reality in a video game, would be really cool. And I hope that they capture that and they drive on making that experience a big part of BF1's campaign. And a lot of people might say, like, well, you know, they need to do something special in terms of, like, gunplay and shooting. You know, I don't think they do. I think they just need to make sure that the engagements, the battles that we're in, are satisfying, that they test the player's skill, that they don't feel like shooting galleries, and that they don't treat the player like they're sitting at a cinema. This was the biggest issue that I had with Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4, was that both of those games abandoned those special Battlefield elements. They abandoned the sandbox portion of Battlefield for the most part, and they started to throw a lot of cinematic cutscenes at us. They took control away from the player, and they were like, ooh, look, it's shiny rendered cutscene event. Hey, look, you're hanging out the side of a Jeep shooting a grenade launcher at a helicopter. Like, I think there was a point when the franchise started trying to do direct battle with Call of Duty, trying to capture that same audience, and in reality, it just, made the campaign worse. We need to see DICE, again, respect what they've created with the Battlefield franchise and try and infuse that into the campaign. So give us great set pieces, with great combat scenarios that utilize the destructible environments and the scale that Battlefield is so well known for. We've seen a lot of games make that return to that sort of classic shooter experience, Wolfenstein and Doom recently. You can bring that back. Shooting stuff in a traditional shooting stuff sense can feel great. It's just about execution. And hopefully they can find that sweet spot. They can nail that historical, those historical elements, and they can give us great gunplay. They can leave control in the hands of the player and let us just experience this stuff as it unfolds. Now, DICE has mentioned that we're going to be, this is really the only thing they've given us detail on, is that we're going to be seeing the war from different perspectives. This makes total sense to me, and I hope that they do it just the way that I'm thinking they're going to do it. I don't know if a lot of you guys realize or remember, or maybe you're even too young, that a Call of Duty, the original Call of Duty Finest Hour, was actually marketed and sold to people on the basis that you would be able to experience the war from different perspectives, at least from the Allies. So from the British, the Americans, the Soviet, and so on. And that continued throughout the franchise's history, even up into the Modern Warfare games, going from like JTAC to SOCOM to the SAS. And it was a fantastic way to throw the player into different characters, to experience different characters from the perspective of your character then, which is why some of the characters in Call of Duty are so memorable and so well known. Ghost, anyone, the list goes on and on. And it also gave the developers, an easy way to throw the player into different environments. If you just play one character, if you just play one guy, one American soldier, one British soldier, how are you ever going to see, the battle that took place where the Americans never went or where the British never went, So it gives them a way out to send the player to Arabia, to France and into Germany, and to jump all over the different front lines that existed throughout the course of World War I. That sense of variety in location, which will in turn hopefully alter the types of combat scenarios that we get in. World War I is definitely in a very interesting war with a lot of different battles, land, sea, and air. There's a lot for us to experience. I just hope that they're able to capture all of it and that they're able to execute it in a way where it's memorable and enjoyable. Building video games is not an easy thing, and I think building single-player campaigns for first-person shooters is probably one of the more difficult things to do. You can make one, but to make one that's great, to make one that people remember, to make one that people, have in their head as a mental checkbox when they play anything that comes out for the next 20 years, that's the hard thing to do. How do you build Bad Company in essence again? How do you build Call of Duty 2? How do you make a campaign that is as interesting and memorable as those were, but do it in your own way? Not an easy task. DICE definitely has their work set out for them. I wish them the best of luck with it. I'm really looking forward to experiencing Battlefield 1's campaign, if not just for the historical value, but for anything that they may be able to bring to the table. We know DICE can build awesome stuff, like I said, I think the important thing for me at the end of the day is that they respect what they've created inside of Battlefield that makes Battlefield so special and find ways to infuse that into the game's campaign. That's the big thing for me. Like I said, the other stuff's kind of a given and it's all about execution, but just don't forget what makes Battlefield special, because the fans, the people who love this franchise, we know what that stuff is. And when we play it, when we can experience it, not just in our multiplayer, we're going to be really happy. And that's going to be a great way to draw us into whatever story, to whatever, you know, historical elements you decide to try and expose us to, that you decide to try and put us in boots for and take us on that ride, or let us go on that ride, I should say. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please let me know what you want to see from Battlefield 1's campaign. You know, what are you sort of expecting? What do you think DICE is going to do? And, you know, when we talk about smaller elements, you know, the combat and environmental destruction, you know, what things are important to you in a Battlefield campaign? What elements of the Battlefield franchise, you know, the things that make Battlefield Battlefield when we talk multiplayer, do you feel fit well in the campaign and that you feel are important to be included in a single player campaign? Anything else outside of that, let me know down in the comment section below. As I said, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.